Son, you're turning 12 next month, so it's time for you to get a bank account. You want the Lion card or the cool Iron Man one? So of course, as a reasonable child at that time, I definitely chose Iron Man. It looked sick. They don't have it anymore. They actually have a different version, but the different version is like not that good. Honestly, it's mid.
Look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
So anyway, I get one of their bank accounts, at 12. It's a joint savings account. And I'm like, damn, I'm finally an adult. Boy, was that such an adventure. I remember my balance would keep going down at the end of every month, and I was really confused. And at that time, they only gave me an ATM card and a passbook. There was no app, so I could not really check in the app because they didn't give me one. So I remember I was checking for around, I think I asked their customer service, and they eventually told me that I need a 10 grand minimum balance. Who at 12 has 10 grand in their bank? What? So anyway, as a reasonable person, I closed my account because I am not rich. I am a middle-class citizen at best. So I left their bank at that time. Eventually, I became 18. So I got a Standard Chartered account again because I wanted to try it out again, because they had like this really good integration with like e-wallets and stuff, and e-wallets are really common here. They're actually way more common than cash. So anyway, I get one of their bank accounts, and they actually changed, they changed their game plan. Before they needed a 10 grand minimum balance. Now it's $0, and I think that's actually pretty good on their part. So you might be asking me, if they change their minimum balance, how are they still privileged? Boy, let me tell you, two of the most weirdest things I have had with this bank. Firstly, when I tried withdrawing money, right? So when you withdraw money from Standard Chartered, you go to a Jetco ATM bank. So what's a Jetco ATM network, you may ask? Well, basically it's a consortium of banks that have decided to unite under one banner, and you can withdraw as much money as you want from any of their partner ATMs. You cannot deposit, but that's a good enough trade-off if you ask me. So try withdrawing some money. I needed $100, right? Only just 100. I don't withdraw more than 100 or more than the amount I need because, well, I don't want to spend all my money. So try withdrawing $100, right? Gives me an error. It said there's a minimum withdrawal of $500, and at first I was like, oh, this ATM must only have $500 notes. Well, then I'll go to another ATM. So I walk like 5 minutes, for another ATM from a different bank too. And it said the same error. Minimum withdrawal $500. And I'm like, what? Sorry, what? So I check on Google, right? And it turns out they need a minimum withdrawal of $500 on Jetco ATMs for only Standard Chartered. Only their bank. All other banks, they don't care. You can withdraw $100, they don't bat their eye. So I'm like, okay. Well then. Shit. So of course I just did a bank transfer at that moment because I'm like, I don't want to bother withdrawing $500 and depositing $400 back at their own ATMs, which is so rare. So then I'm like, okay, let me just get a debit card, because all banks, they give debit cards as long as you have a heartbeat, It's pretty common. So try applying for one, right? Turns out their debit cards are only for Standard Chartered Priority. And their minimum balance is $1 million. Now tell me, which millionaire has a debit card? Come on, bro. Like, why do I need $1 million in my account for a debit card? Are you kidding me? I remember when I'm like, damn. So I was like, well then. Turns out which bank I'll not be using for my debit card transactions now. Take a guess. So yeah. I mean, the thing about this bank though, they have some merits, First of all, they changed their whole minimum balance thing, They now give everyone a bank account with $0 minimum balance, so no strings. That's actually great. Like, their credit cards are actually pretty sick too, especially their Cafe Pacific one. It actually looks really nice. I've seen it in person. Looks nice. And actually offers some pretty sick features. Too bad all their credit cards need like an annual fee, and I literally cannot afford an annual fee. So I'm like, well, damn, can't get their credit cards then, huh? And is their ATMs though, I gotta say, hands down one of the best designs ever. Their UI is actually pretty easy to use. Anyone can use it. You don't need to teach them. You don't need to teach anyone. You don't need to read a manual. It's really simple, straightforward, really clean. So like, yeah, at least I get that only joy from using their ATMs is that ATM interface. Apart from that, I just feel pain. I feel so poor. I feel like a peasant whenever I, use this bank. So while I was editing this video, I actually got some notifications from like the bank. It's pretty interesting is what I would say. Seeing their usage of emojis is absolutely criminal. Like, you don't need to use emojis. You seriously don't. Just give up. Just send me plain text messages. Ironically though, their subsidiary Mox is actually way better at using emojis, so maybe use the same team that Mox is using, It'll make the notifications way better instead of making me like cringe when I read them. So yeah, just wanted to add that on. So you have a lot of money. The final verdict I would say is it's just a 6 out of 10. And like, if you can afford their credit cards, it will be a 7 out of 10. Because like, honestly speaking, where they shine the best at is their credit cards, okay? So yeah, that is the most privileged bank here.